Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Claw and the King podcast. I am Zoops. I am joined by my current co-host, Dopey, aka Oscar. How are you doing, my friend?
Current?
Well, for a long time, obviously. I wasn't planning on leaving you.
Okay.
I get nervous when I introduce, so
Yeah.
words just fly out of my mouth. I don't even control them. It's not like I've been recruited by, everybody in Barstool and, all those guys. It's not like I'm being recruited by them or anything. But
yeah, I'm doing well.
How are you?
I'm doing well.
You doing well? That's good to hear.
Yep. That's about it.
That's about it. Well, you're a great person to chat to about this. So, world of sports has been. I can maybe lead us into sort of the podcast. The world of sports, a couple of things have been going on, even though maybe not playing sport, to be honest, but sort of the off-season moves are getting, and the off-season season, you could say, is getting into fruition at the moment, even though free agency isn't officially open for the NBA. And the Premier League transfer window isn't completely in fruition. There's still sort of a lot of deals being negotiated. I think there is some legitimate rumors going around and, some decent business as of late. So what topic would you like to start us off with, Oscar?
Well, we can start on this Rooney thing you brought up. So, there's a rumor going around at the moment that, well, not a rumor, but
there's a rumor. It's under the table. Yeah,
a notion that Wayne Rooney didn't reach his potential. Now he's obviously retired a while ago, but a guy that was one of the best players in the world for a period of time, but did fall off once he hit 30, pretty much.
Yeah. Well, it was sort of discussed before on True Geordie podcast, which it's Kickoff. I think it's a football show that they do, and I love it, but. It was kind of discussed on there first a couple months ago, or maybe even a year ago at this point, but it's resurfaced. A lot of the clips on social media has resurfaced of not only that discussion, but people discussing that topic as a whole. And I'd like to sort of address it because I think it's the most ridiculous thing that anyone's ever said. To say that Rudy underachieved is blasphemous, in my opinion. And people look, well, by the age of 32, he was done, and look at Ronaldo at 32. And I would say to that is, it's not about how old you are, you muppet. It's about how many years you play professionally and how much wear and tear it has on your body. If you start playing full-on professional football at age 24, you're probably going to last till you're 37, 38. But he was playing week in, week out at 16 years old. And if you do the math, 16 to 32, how many years is that, Oscar?
That's 16.
16 years professionally at the top level. I mean, I don't know about you, but that's pretty good in terms of a prime. And if you watched him at Everton at early days at on his debut for Man United, he scored an unreal hat-trick. So it's like, that was like at 18 years old. So it's a bit ridiculous, I think, this sentiment that Rooney underachieved him. The point that some of the people brought up on the kickoff was the fact that he was viewed as the next Messi and then the England's version of Messi and Ronaldo, essentially. And at 2007, around that time, he was viewed as that. And then when Ronaldo moved to Spain and Messi was obviously thriving in Spain already, they thought Rooney would maybe even surpass those guys or be at that same level and maintain that same level. But he sacrificed a lot for the team. He moved around different positions and he won everything there is to win in football. He's England's all-time goal scorer. So I just think the notion that he's overrated is ridiculous. And one of the better, probably one of the best players in that 2000s era for me. I'm not too sure about how you sit on it. Do you think he could have done more in the game of football?
I don't think he's overrated at all. I don't think anyone's putting him way up there with the greats, but
I am.
You are.
I think he's England's greatest ever player.
Well, yeah. I think for England, yes, he's definitely up there. Although he didn't bring home, a World Cup or a Euros. And the English team since he's left has improved drastically. But and I think Kane is overtaking him pretty much.
Well, he's going to, probably.
But still, a great player for England all those years. And I watched his doco the other day on Amazon. And I didn't realise at the time because I was very young, but there was just how much hype was around him, around 06 World Cup, 08 Euros when he was first coming into the team. Like, he was 18, just put on the world stage, and he was meant to win England the trophy.
Yeah.
So, yes, he had a lot of pressure. Obviously, he had a great career at United. Formed really good combination with Ronaldo when he was there the first time. And I think in his prime, I think he was probably a top 10 player in the world. But obviously people wanted him to be that Ballon d'Or type of guy, and he never managed to do that. But I don't know if it's a wasted potential, because he is probably one of the, I don't know, top 20 greatest players of all time, top 30.
I'd put him higher than that. I'd put him probably top 10 in my
all
opinion.
time.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think he's that good.
Top 10? I mean, you look at what he's won in World Football. He hasn't won a Ballon d'Or, sure. But if you're talking about Premier League, greatest ever Premier League players, and this argument gets a bit confusing, because you could say greatest player to ever play in the Premier League is probably Ronaldo, or in my opinion, Ronaldo. But the greatest Premier League player of all time, because of that he wasn't in Manchester for that long, and his best years were only probably a 2 or 3 year stretch for Ronaldo at Man United. It's a bit difficult to put him in that you can put him in the conversation, but it's difficult to put him number one. And most people put Thierry Henry as greatest ever Premier League player. I put Rooney. It's tough to gauge without just thinking about it off the top of my head, but I'd definitely put him top 3.
In Premier League history.
Premier League history, yeah.
That is a big call.
I don't think it's that big. You look at what he achieved in those years with Manchester United. He won countless trophies. I mean, he won... I don't know. I don't think he won one.
So do you have him ahead of like Giggs and other? Who's the other guy everyone talks about? Sheringham, is he the main guy?
Shearer.
Yeah,
great football expert here. But yeah, a lot of people might put Alan Shearer in there. They might put they might have a guy like Steven Gerrard in there, or there's a lot of players to choose from. But I just think Rooney, with his sort of impact over a long sustained period, he won back-to-back Premier League titles. I mean, he's won everything in the world of football apart from maybe international level. And I think this ridiculous notion that he could have done more, or that he tailed off at the end, is ridiculous. And yeah,
well, he tail off.
Well, he had a different prime. Most people have their primes from probably 27 to 32. That's usually where, or 25, maybe in that sort of area, late 20s, early 30s. That's where their prime is. Rooney had his prime at 19 to 23. That was his prime, is from when he was a teenager to his mid-20s. But
some players, like the best players of all time that you're comparing him to, Ronaldo's prime is 18 to 35.
Yeah, but Ronaldo wasn't unbelievable. Like, he was talented, but he wasn't nowhere near Rooney's level in his teens or in his early 20s. Maybe early 20s, but it would...
At United, he was clearly the better player.
Well, he won a Ballon d'Or, but so maybe in his last 2 years he was a better player. But prior to that, I don't think so. I mean, how old was he?
Like Messi as well. At a teenager, he was a beast.
He wasn't as dominant as... That's kind of the point. What I'm saying is a lot of people put him on par with Messi and Ronaldo in his mid-20s. However, he did not sort of sustain that into his 30s, and I think a lot of people crucify him for that, and I think it's unjustified. So overall, I just think that
I don't think it's. I mean, yeah, I guess it's unjustified to criticize him for that, but I think it's fair enough to make the argument that he's not in the same category as them.
Well, he's not, but I think they put that expectation on him, and I did think he sacrificed a lot for the team. He played injured a lot of the time. If you look at some of Wayne Rooney's games, or if you watch them, as I did growing up, you see how much effort he put in. He ran all over the place. And Ronaldo didn't do that. Ronaldo was quite a defensive liability in terms of pressing, and the team had to cover that up and they put up with it because he was so gifted offensively. But yeah, I just think people use how he declined in his early 30s against Wayne Rooney, and I don't agree with that, because he had 16 years of unbelievable play at football. So yeah, it's just a quick sort of start off and a quick sort of early sentiment about how I disagree how the media portrays Rooney, and I think I think the media and people in general have an unconscious bias to.
Yeah, well, there's a perception that people have of Rooney that he's a dickhead.
Well, he is a dickhead.
Yeah.
I think it's well sort of well, maybe not now, but early in his years he was a bit of a dick. And I think also I'm not saying that this is everything, but I think looks do maybe play a slight part into the bias. I mean, Ronaldo looks like a supermodel. I mean, let's be real here.
Yeah, Rooney looked like he's
Rooney
50,
looked like a bit of a Shrek. So I do think sort of, and also when he talks, he's very quiet. He's like, yes, it was.
I cheated on my wife 3 times, but we worked through it.
Yeah, it's very. He's not really a likable person, you could say. But in terms of talent-wise and production-wise, I think he's definitely top 3 Premier League players of all time, and in my opinion, top 10 players of all time throughout the world.
Wow!
And again,
that might be the highest anyone has ever placed Rooney on a list.
I don't think that's true. And I think, look, and I've said this about other sports as well. I have kind of a bias towards the older players, so I may not rate. I was like Yashin as like the best. A lot of people would maybe put Yashin as a great player. And it's different with football because I think football had been going on for 50, 60 years. Well, it's been going on since the 1800s, football. So it's a bit different to basketball where it sort of came to fruition in the mid-1950s. So there was less development of talent and less sort of cultural cultural embedment. Embedment?
No,
it's not embedment. What I'm trying to say is football was more prominent culturally in England when these great players like Pele, I don't know why I'm saying Pele, but I don't know what I'm talking about here. I'm just rambling
really
on
confused
about random shit. What I'm trying to say is football started earlier than a sport like basketball. So my point is that I'm not as biased against players like Pele and George Best as I would be against players like Wilt Chamberlain and Bill Russell, for example. That's what I'm trying to say. So,
okay.
But in saying that, I don't think they were anywhere near. Well, I do think George Best was great. So it's a bit difficult for me to say, but and off the top of my head, it's hard for me to sort of make an accurate sort of assumption about it. But I would definitely put him top 10. It'd probably be 9th or 10th all time, but I just think about his contribution and how great he was. And people may disagree with that. That might be a bit controversial, but yeah.
That's very controversial.
Really? Who would you put ahead of him? I mean,
well, Messi.
Yeah,
Ronaldo.
Messi, Ronaldo. Zidane probably I put ahead of him.
Pele. Maradona.
Pele, Maradona, yeah.
I'd have players like Ibra ahead of him.
No way.
I would.
No way.
I would.
He played in France the majority of his career. Great player, but I don't think he's better than Rooney.
I would have him ahead of him.
Who else?
Thierry Henry, I guess. I would have like Ronaldinho ahead of him.
No, I wouldn't have Ronaldinho ahead of him.
I think there's an argument for someone like Neymar.
See, it is tricky to sort of do it, but it's just my opinion. I just think Rooney's top 10 of all time.
And then you got like Iniesta, Xavi, like.
I think he's better than them.
Well, it's hard when you're comparing positions.
Yeah, it is hard, and then you're not even mentioning defenders. But
yeah,
it's a bit difficult to sort of compare. But yeah, it's just my opinion. I think he was an unbelievable player in his prime, and watching him growing up, he was on par with Ronaldo. Maybe not in that season where he won the Ballon d'Or because Ronaldo was unreal. But yeah, it was definitely an unbelievable player in his day, and the disrespect he get, I think, is undeserved.
Yeah. Speaking of players that were good in their day and now get a fair share of disrespect, Kyrie Irving has been in the news.
Well, this is more justified. This sort of
yeah, probably justified, but controversy nonetheless.
Yeah.
Kyrie Irving has been in the news for
forever
wanting out of Brooklyn or not wanting out of Brooklyn or who knows what he wants. But obviously, if there's any news that any player is unhappy in a place, you can count on it that the Lakers are going to be linked to them.
Yeah, I mean that the truth. Yeah, and what came out this morning was Windy still saying that good old Windy. It's a cool nickname.
Is it?
Windhorse, Windy. It's very imaginable. What he came out with essentially was the fact that there is still a chance that the Lakers pursue a trade with Kyrie Irving, and that there is a possibility that he still ends up on the Lakers this morning. Oh, well, not this morning, but he still ends up on the Lakers sometime this season. And I just think that's ridiculous. I mean, what would there would have to be some investigation for tampering or fraud,
I don't think
if
so.
the Nets were to accept a Lakers offer, it would be...
Well, yeah, I think it's impossible that they accept it.
No, but I'm saying if they do, they'd have to be investigated for some kind of corruption. I mean, it would be utterly ridiculous for anything that the Lakers
unless
have.
KD's like, I don't want this guy here, move him.
For what, though? They'd move him to a different team. What can you offer?
Westbrook.
No. Westbrook has less value than this toy figurine or Conor McGregor pop UFC figurine. He has less value than that. I would rather have that on my team than Russell Westbrook at the moment.
Yes.
It costs a lot less as well. I mean,
it is.
He got paid $47 million. It's been confirmed he's getting paid 47. He opted in and getting paid $47 million.
Opted in. That's surprising.
Yeah, it's not like... I mean, yeah, like I said before, I'd rather... wouldn't even pay him...
He could opt into a $50 million deal or opt out, and he would only get the veteran minimum, probably.
Yeah, no one would pay him. So the point is, I don't think there is anyone. I mean, who are you going to trade? Your only decent role player last year, Malik Monk, is a free agent, and you're probably not going to get...
Well, apparently he's open to coming back for less
money. Yeah,
money.
but how much is he going to take, though? And the most the Lakers can offer is $6 million. He's probably going to get, I don't know, probably a deal around
10, 12.
I think a 3-year, $40 million, $40 million contract. I think he can easily get that on the open market. So, yeah, I just think it's unreal that the Lakers would have anything to offer. I mean, I'm just trying to look at your roster or rack my brain for all the shocking players that you have.
There's no way we could formulate a realistic trade that the Nets, in a sane mind, would accept. But
you don't have any picks. You don't have any young talent. All your existing talent.
I guess we could give him AD.
I mean, one, I don't think you would do that. Two, I don't think the Nets would do that. It's like a lose-lose. I don't see why the Nets would do that. They don't need a big. They've got Ben Simmons. I mean, he's definitely playing. So, yeah, I just think that there is no way.
I think the Nets just need to settle down.
Yeah, all the Nets need to do is just hope and pray. You need to pray to the gods. Just say, please, please, can you... And it's for different reasons for different people as well. KD, please stay healthy. Please, can you just stay healthy for one whole season? I'd love it. Ben Simmons, please, can you make him dribble a basketball and not play Fortnite all day? Please. And then for Kyrie, it's like, please, can you fix his brain? Please, can you assure me that Kyrie Irving won't just leave the team halfway through the season because, you know, an African elephant died in the zoo and he needs to look after it or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
You've just got to find and pray, essentially, for the Nets that they all can play together by the time the playoffs come around. So, yeah, because Kyrie has no... What is the value? How do you surmise or how do you gauge a trade package for those guys? I mean, I don't know how you could possibly find one for either Westbrook or Irving. So, this report that the Lakers are still sort of in the hunt for Kyrie Irving, I just think is ridiculous, and they've got no way of doing it.
They're in the hunt just because they're desperate, but...
Yeah, can you
the chances of them making it happen are astronomically low. And it's just the Lakers are absolutely fucked.
Wow.
There's no two ways
Statement
about
of the
it.
year, that. It must be surprised.
I'm still picking them to win next year.
I think that's ridiculous. And who was... Yeah, there was a... What do they call that when First Takers got all the the bench players on? They don't have any... like Stephen A. and, you know, JJ Redick.
They got like that weird small dude.
Yeah, but I can't remember what they call it, but it's like the... Anyway, it doesn't matter what they call it. But they had the subs out. I mean, they went far down on the bench to get the people on there. I think it was this morning. And they said that... And this was after, and we'll talk a bit about the John Wall trade. But this was after the Clippers acquired John Wall. And this woman on there said, yeah, I have the Clippers slightly ahead of the Lakers as contenders for this season. And I'm like, what are you smoking? In what planet are the Lakers and Clippers in any way comparable? One has talent, One doesn't. One has a proven good head coach. One doesn't. One has a stable organization that has an ability to not have drama. One doesn't. I don't understand how people think that the Lakers can contend this year.
Well, they think that because they have LeBron James. That's the only reason.
But he's injury prone now. He's too old. He's getting injured and that's probably a bit sort of. It's a bit controversial. You can't really say that as a Clippers fan because our players get injured all the time. But still, I mean, he's getting injured all the time now. He's not the old LeBron of where he's just plays every game. His body's taken a toll on him, and all the work that he's done has taken a toll on him. So I have no doubts the Lakers will be nowhere near a championship.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. Well, we'll talk about John Wall. So John Wall reaches a buyout with the Rockets after they told him to sit on his ass for a whole year because they wanted to be professional losers for a year.
Good job. Tanking rules are coming in.
Yeah, they did pretty well. They came last. So John Wall, they reached a buyout. I think he only lost about $6 million off of his, 40 or whatever he was meant to get.
That's not that bad.
Yeah. So he's got that, and then he just gets to go to a contender for free. So fucking good on John Wall. But unfortunately, he's gone to the Clippers. Now,
you mean fortunately?
No, very unfortunately.
All your favourite players are leaving you,
now,
by the way.
Yeah, well, John Wall isn't my favourite player, but he's just
a player that you like.
He's a player that's available that's good.
But the Lakers can't seem to get, which is not a surprise.
So I'm confused. So did the Lakers just not try to get John Wall and they were just only on Kyrie, or
I think it was more the fact that
did John Wall just say fuck off, I don't want to go?
Yeah, I think John Wall was like, hang on a second, would I rather go to a dumpster fire or a contender and get paid the same amount either way?
Yes. Well, yes, he's ended up on the Clippers. Now, on paper, the Clippers are a threat now for next season.
Yeah.
Obviously, John Wall's health, Paul George's health, Kawhi Leonard's health. There's a lot of health questions.
I mean, yeah.
But even when John Wall last played in the NBA, he was averaging over 20 points a game with the Rockets. So he's still a great player. He just hasn't been playing a lot. And obviously, if Kawhi and PG come back as good players as they were last time they played, obviously that makes the Clippers a threat. But you can't win because your franchise is cursed. So this is just another off season of hope that is going to end.
Yeah, it's probably some
horrendously
basketball god that's just playing with me at this point and just like, hey, your team is on paper very well run, got plenty of talent, a great head coach, but in reality, we'll find some way to lose. So it is probably that's probably going to happen. But in saying that, there is only two things realistically that doesn't make the Clippers the best team in the West: injuries, and to be fair, injuries is a realistic thing that happen. The Clippers do have injury problems. However, you look at the Warriors' run; they had faced a lot of injured teams in the West. You look at the Suns' run the year before; faced a lot of injured teams in the West.
Yeah. The NBA is about injuries.
Yeah, so there is an element of luck to it and the timing of the injuries. If you're fully healthy in the playoffs and you're a good team, more than likely you'll get to the conference finals. So my point is it's more about luck than people take into account. So that's the first thing. The second thing is obviously the Clippers curse. We always find a way to lose, and I just can't stomach, I can't bring myself to predict the Clippers to win. I just can't.
No, you shouldn't be.
As a Kawhi Leonard fan, as a Clippers fan, I mean a Clippers fan before I'm a Kawhi Leonard fan, but I'm a Clippers fan. I just can't picture us winning a championship. And it's a bit depressing, I'd say. But you know what? This John Wall acquisition is a great addition. I think it was something that we need. And the fact that we have a guy that can penetrate the basket as a point guard and playmaker. I think his playmaking is a bit underrated, actually. I think...
Mate, him and Zoo, wow. That's
the Big Zoo. We extended Big Zoo as well. He's got 3-year, $33 million, so that's
that guy's going to be catching all the lobs.
Lob City's back, baby. Lob City. But, yeah, great addition, so I'm happy with it. It's probably the best we could have done. You look at the free agent point guards, I was like, Maybe get Ricky Rubio or something. I don't know. Because we need a playmaker at that point guard position.
Well, I think you were going to just settle with Reggie.
Yeah.
If you didn't get John Wall.
But I think John Wall was probably the best thing we could have possibly gone with our salary cap situation. So I'm more than happy with it. And even though I'm saying that I don't have faith in the Clippers, I always will. And if you look on paper, because on paper it's easier to say that they're the favourites, because I think on paper they're the favourites. I look at teams.
Well, I think there's still a lot more moves that could happen. You need to see where Bradley Beal goes.
Yeah, but is any of the contending teams in the West going to really be able to afford Bradley Beal? Bradley Beal has made it clear that he wants a bag. So I don't think there is a team that could, unless it's a sign and trade maybe. I can't see it otherwise. But I look at the other teams in the West and I see the Clippers and I'm like, I mean, you look on paper, you look at the depth of the team as well. At every position, you've got a backup that's could be a starter on any contending team. Maybe a low-level starter in a guy like Covington or something. But you've got, people forget, Norman Powell was traded there for a bag of peanuts. I mean,
yeah, you won't have to play Norman Powell as a 4 now.
Yeah, Norman Powell can play shooting guard, which he's intended to do. You got Luke Kennard there. You got, obviously, like I said, Covington. You got Reggie Jackson. You got Zoo. You got, I think Marcus Morris probably could get traded for someone. I wouldn't mind that, but that's fine. You got John Wall, like I said, Kawhi and PG. You've just got a plethora of talent, and I don't think it's sort of taken into account. And people say the Warriors, which is right. You can say the Warriors.
The Warriors are going to be there again.
Yeah, the Warriors just won a championship. There's no reason not to put them very high up on that contending list. However, I think they're also an injury-prone team that, like I said, got lucky during the playoffs. A lot of their injury-prone players did not get injured in the playoffs, and I think that can account. So,
they got injured before the playoffs.
Well, I mean, look, who did they verse first round? Nuggets. Didn't have Jamal Murray or Michael Porter Jr. Second round, Grizzlies. Didn't have Ja Morant for a long part of that series. Didn't have Dylan Brooks for a game or so of that series.
And the Grizzlies suck.
And the Grizzlies suck anyway. So, and who else? Who they play? Western Conference Finals. They came up against a one-man team in Dallas who didn't have a key scorer for them in Tim Hardaway Jr. So,
Tim Hardaway.
He's a good player.
Okay.
So,
yeah, but he wasn't playing the entire playoffs.
But I'm saying that the teams that they came up against, like it was Phoenix last, I can't exactly remember all the teams Phoenix played, but it was similar. They played the Clippers without Kawhi. The Lakers without LeBron, without AD, and I don't know if LeBron, he might have been. I can't exactly remember, but my point is that it comes down to luck, and just because you're an injury-prone team doesn't mean you're going to be injury-prone come the playoffs. So, yeah, it'll be interesting, and I'm hoping and praying that we stay healthy. But then again, I'm also saying if we stay healthy and we choke it again, it's going to be embarrassing. At least if we're unhealthy, we're like, it's because we got injuries. That's why we lost. We would have been the greatest team of all time if we didn't have injuries.
You will choke if you aren't injured. It's inevitable.
I have faith. Well, it was the button.
It's like Thanos.
I can't. That button's not working.
No,
God damn it.
Which one? What?
Is it that? No. Wait, what's the new button that we put in?
It's the green one.
That is green.
Yeah, that one.
Anyway, should I do my monologue?
Yeah.
John Wall shall make the Clippers contenders again. This team who have been ridiculed throughout history, especially like people like Charles Barkley, who said the Clippers, I've been poor, I've been rich. I've been fat, I've been fit. The Clippers have always sucked. This is the worst thing ever. But the Clippers shall rise again. We shall throw a parade. The streets of Los Angeles. We shall have a banner brandished across the crypto arena, which is the most stupid name ever for an arena, but it's still the crypto arena. Kawhi Leonard shall lift that finals MVP and reignite the discussion that he is the greatest player of our generation. The Claw shall defeat the King. We are the Clippers. What a speech. That was lovely. Did you like that?
Yeah, that was great.
See, that's clipped up. That's going on every social media platform.
The Clippers should play that at their season opening game on the big screen.
Yeah, I'm down. I mean, if you want to ring me up and make me do an emotional speech, I mean
seriously, if anything can stop the curse, that should be able to.
Yeah, you just got to have faith. I think Clippers fans just haven't had enough faith. And look, 5 minutes ago, was I saying that the Clippers have a curse? Yes. However, I have faith. if of all Clippers fans, all 20 of us, just band together and just show support and show this just promise, and we just pray and we have faith that the team can win, I believe we can undo the curse of the Clippers. And it's a possibility that we choke again. It's a possibility.
It's a guarantee.
Possibility. But I will say that we have a chance to rise and defeat the enemy and truly
You will destroy Megatron.
And truly stamp out the Lakers and become the best team in LA, even though we are. But we'll make it official with a championship parade in LA.
Yeah.
I'll be there. I'll be one of the 30 people
You're going to go there. Okay.
In the championship parade.
Okay. Last 2 days of NBA news. Horrible for Lakers fans. Great for Clippers fans. And terrible for Knicks fans as well. I guess we can quickly.
Well, it's not terrible, but I do want to
pretty much terrible.
I find it bizarre how they are treating Jalen Brunson like he's Michael Jordan. I mean, they hire his dad as an assistant coach. They recruit him in playoff games. Julius Randle and their GM and head coach all go watch his game.
Julius Randle.
And I'm
How is Julius Randle your selling point?
And
that guy's a one season wonder.
And they're clearing players. They made a trade today with Nerlens Noel and Alec Burks, and they traded picks away as well for nothing. Just to clear up salary cap space to get the most coveted player in the NBA, Jalen Brunson. It's a bit ridiculous, isn't it?
Just re-signed to the Mavs.
It's just a bit ridiculous.
The Knicks they just don't know what to do. They're a lost dog. They're just running in circles.
This is the stuff you do when you want to get a superstar player. And I think Jalen Brunson's a really good player. But do I think he's worth actively recruiting throughout 3 months and hiring his dad as a coach and paying him $110 million over 4 years? Not really. I think he's got...
I think if you're New York, you just sack everyone off.
He's Derek Fisher. I mean, I'm sorry, but...
He's better than Derek Fisher.
Marginally.
Yeah, marginally.
He wasn't... Dallas weren't even willing to pay him $70 million last offseason.
But last year was his best year.
Yeah, last year he improved a lot, but... God, I wouldn't be paying him. It's not the fact that they're paying him 110... I don't hate that part of it, but the fact that they're making such a big effort out of it and they're just making sure they get Jalen Brunson like he's,
because
LeBron James.
They just want to make sure they get something.
Yeah, but it's a 15-point per game scorer.
I know, it's not going to do much for you, especially when the rest of your team is already shit anyway.
Yeah, and he plays the same as RJ Barrett and Julius Randle anyway. He just backs his opponent down and does some stupid fadeaway.
I think if you're in New York, you just got to build around RJ at this point.
Again, but he only had one good season. He was poor.
But he's young.
Efficiency. Yeah, he's got talent. So,
I'm trading Randall right now.
For what?
Anything. He's trash. What's the point of keeping him? He's a ball stopper that can't score.
Yeah, the Knicks. It's just we've said this before on the podcast that the problem that the Knicks had was that they came fourth. Or came fourth or fifth in the East.
Massive overachievement.
But they did it because they worked harder and they got elite defensive players and they just worked their ass off way more than every other team. Problem is, that doesn't work in the playoffs because everyone works their ass off in the playoffs and they lost to the Hawks. So, and then the next year, they were like, okay, we need offense now. But the problem is when you just get offensive players, they can't play defense. So they got Evan Fournier and Kemba Walker who didn't put in any effort and are not great defensive players. And then you just turn into a bunch of nothing and a mixed team completely with some players that try hard, some players that don't, some players that defend, some players that don't. And it just was an absolute travesty last season for the Knicks and Knicks fans. So it's a situation where your team's so confusing that there's no way you could accurately predict it.
I think you can predict.
Well, you can predict it's going to be
not going to be good.
But you can predict it's going to be an absolute circus, but you can't predict anything about who's going to perform well, who's not. Because it's such a mixed bag. You can't predict if Thibodeau is going to get sacked or he's not. The Knicks are run so poorly that it's impossible to gauge or impossible to sort of predict that the Knicks could make the playoffs or do anything in the playoffs.
Yeah, it's a crazy amount of time to be bad for.
Yeah.
As the biggest franchise in the league, you just cannot be good somehow.
Mm.
Like it's really baffling because the amount of players that want to go there. There's New York is a massive market. Free agents are always happy to go there. They've got the fans, they've got the money, they've got everything they need, but somehow they just, over 20, 30 years, have not been able to be good. And it's just, I don't know, year after year, ownership and management just make weird decisions that just keep spinning them in circles.
Yeah.
So the Knicks
just not great if you're a Knicks fan. It's kind of like being a Man United fan. Like you're a massive...
Well, a Man United fan post 2012.
Yeah, well, yeah, the Knicks haven't had that much success as of recent. But it is kind of, at the moment, being a Man United fan, it's just like, oh my God, this is an absolute shit show. What are we doing?
Yeah, because I looked at the squad like when they last won the league, which is 10 years ago this season, I think.
They had Tom Cleverley in the starting team.
Yeah, the team was not great, apart from like Van Persie.
Well, yeah, they had Van Persie and Rooney up top. That was it. Yeah. I mean, they had Anders Lindegaard in goal. Let me think. So, Raphael at right back, Fabio at left back. They're twin brothers. I think they were twin brothers, or they're definitely brothers. But you remember Raphael, the right back, Brazilian?
Yeah. And they had like Fellaini.
They had Phil Jones, Chris Smalling at the back. They had Anders Lindegaard in goal. They had Carrick, who was good. But they had Tom Cleverley in the mid.
Was Scholes still playing?
They had Fletcher. No, Scholes wasn't playing.
Giggs.
No, but he was really old at that point. I don't think he even played. It was just an absolute...
Yeah, it was not a great team.
Yeah, it was just awful.
But they won.
Yeah, it was terrible. So, yeah, man, it was an awful team, but they had a great manager and they had a great culture run by the manager. But now, ever since the Glazers have kind of took over, it's just been awful. So, moving on. What's the next topic?
Moving on. So you said that Philadelphia are bringing back these old school jerseys, the ones that Allen Iverson used to wear.
Yeah, rumored
to thing.
Yeah.
So you've come up with the idea of just making a quick little list of our top 3 favorite jerseys.
Yes.
Now it will be a bit hard to portray on a podcast because you can't see the jerseys, but I don't give a fuck. If you want to see
use your imagination.
Look it up on Google if you want to see it.
Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
I'll go first. Okay. I don't really have an order, to be honest, but this is just my 3. I've got the Miami Vice jerseys that they've had the last few years. I think they're sick. This one might have been my favorite the most recent year, where it had like the block letters and it was in different positions. But that's just a really cool series. And then number 2. Had to throw it back to Kobe, the mid-2000s Lakers classic purple. I prefer the purple with the yellow as opposed to the yellow with the purple, but just a classic, one of the most iconic jerseys of all time, and with the Mamba in it, too much to pass up. Number 3, I've got the Raptors in the late 90s, the Vince Carter Raptors, when they used to have the actual Raptors on the jerseys. I think those things are sick. So, yeah, that's my top 3.
Yeah, I disagree a bit. I did rank it. So I did 3, 2, 1. So my number 3, Vince Carter Raptor jersey. I think that's an all-time jersey, an unbelievable jersey in my opinion. It just makes it iconic with the Vince Carter sort of dunk contest element to it. Now number 2, I've gone for a bit of a one out of left field of it. Yeah. It's the Jazz purple jerseys. So the throwback Jazz jerseys with the purple and the mountains. That was made famous by Karl Malone and John Stockton.
Oh, those ones, right.
I love those jerseys. I think they pay sort of homage to the city. The fact that Utah's a wasteland of just mountains and
racists.
Yeah, and that, but we don't have to mention that. No. The Jazz purple jerseys, I think, great mix. They play. It was obviously the John Stockton and Karl Malone Jazz were an unbelievable team. So, you can take that into account, how they were always competing. And also, my number 1, paying homage to the recent news, I rate the Allen Iverson black jerseys number 1. Love them. I think they're my favorite jerseys of all time. They're just... And you could argue that it's a bit of bias because of... If Allen Iverson didn't wear that jersey, I probably wouldn't have put it in my top 3. But the fact that it's made iconic by Allen Iverson... It's an unreal jersey concept in the first place. I just think it's iconic. It's just an unbelievable jersey, and I think the Sixers should have gone back to it years ago. And when they went back to the current Philly ones, this was like a throwback jersey that they had before the current Philly ones that they use. I didn't like it at all, and in comparison to the black jerseys, it's just nothing to compare. So those are my top three. It's about opinion. This, the Miami Vice ones were close for me. I think the original ones when Dwayne Wade came back with the black, was probably the one that I was thinking of with the Vice editions. But yeah, I just like that purple.
I like those San Antonio ones with like the fluoro colors, like the green, the orange,
the gay
and the
pride.
pink. No, what?
Isn't it like gay pride or something?
No, it's like the OG colors. You know?
Oh yeah,
like
I'm thinking of the Nuggets. Yeah, both the Nuggets and Spurs jerseys I like of those rainbow sort of colors as well. But yeah, that's my pick, and we were kind of discussing whether if we should do overall sports jerseys, but that would get too sort of complicated, and it'd be depending. Yeah. It really depend on which sport we like the most. So for me, it'd be the Ronaldo 08-09 jersey for Man United. I just love that jersey, and that's complete bias because I love Ronaldo. I love Man United. It's a great jersey anyway, but I love Ronaldo. I love Man United.
Guernsey. Don't they call it Guernseys?
Guernseys? What's that?
Some people call jerseys Guernseys.
Does anyone do that?
Yeah.
Who?
I've heard people doing it.
Probably people.
I've heard English people doing it.
No. Guernsey's a place in England.
No, I know, but people call jerseys Guernseys. Like AFL people, they call their things Guernseys.
No, I don't think. I've never heard anyone use that. But
well, people do.
Okay, well, people do. I mean, you know a lot of people, so it could be different circles.
I know people.
You're a Penrith supporter, so it could be people up there.
No,
I mean,
more sophisticated people, not Penrith fans.
Well, speak for yourself. I mean, you are a Penrith fan yourself, so not speaking too greatly of yourself.
I don't call them Guernseys.
But anyway, moving on.
We'll change pace. Talking about Penrith, similar Origin 2 review, very Penrith based, the Origin 2 New South Wales team. Obviously, a big win for the boys. Big win. Much needed, well deserved. Again, basically exactly what I predicted would happen happened. And that's why I should be New South Wales coach.
You should be the coach.
Yeah, I could easily be better than Freddie.
I don't think that's true, but
it's true.
I do think the media goes a bit far in praising the guy. And they do bring up, and we're New South Wales fans, so this is the most successful we've ever seen the Blues. I mean, we grew up and it was, it's just watching us lose every year, and we just didn't have any talent whatsoever, and New South Wales, Queensland had unbelievable talent. But I look, and they bring up, the media bring up the point that, well, he's won 3 of his last 4 series. Well, I mean, if you look at, on paper, the teams in that series, he's had the best team by far in all those series.
That's what I've always been saying.
And the fact that the one that he lost was essentially unlosable. I mean, how he lost to that, people make fun of it, the worst Queensland team ever. That was the worst Queensland team ever. I mean, that was a shocking team. And we lost because of his terrible pick. I mean, Clint Gutherson was awful. Absolutely awful. Who else was awful? I mean,
Jack Wyden.
Jack Wyden was awful in that series. He stuck with him. It was just an horrendous one. And you can say Turbo and Latrell were injured, but still, it wasn't great in terms of...
well, I think Turbo was... I think Latrell was just dropped at that point.
He might have been. I'm not too sure, but I know Turbo was definitely injured. But yeah, man, that was a practically unlosable, and he lost it. So it's tough to sort of put him as an Origin great coach that a lot of people say. He can't be,
because you see in Game 2, he picks what is close to the right team, in my opinion, and we absolutely demolished them. And in Game 1, he picks the complete wrong team. It's just... anyone with a brain can see you pick Jake Trbojevic Origin. Like, how hard is it to do that? How hard is it to pick Angus Crichton? How hard is it...
Well, Angus Crichton's a bit...
he should have been in the team, mate. He's been there the past 3 years. He's a great player. He should be in the team. How hard is it to do these things? And the answer is not very.
Well, yeah, the Jake Turbo thing, I think a lot of people criticised.
Even, I could see from a mile away, Appy should be playing. I can see from a mile away, Burton should be playing. I can see from a mile away Stags should never be playing Origin ever again. And people were saying he was hard done by to be dropped for Crichton. And, like, I know Crichton probably wasn't our best player, but he's better than Stags because Stags doesn't run the footy, which is basically 90% of your job in Origin is just running the footy. And you look at our back five, they absolutely demolished Queensland because they run the footy. And that's how we won the game. So,
well, yeah, it was just a much better team for Origin. And you could see the difference. And I think even though Crichton, I mean, his top, was it Stephen Crichton on the right centre is your player?
yes.
Penrith player. Yeah, just get messed up with the names there. But Crichton, I don't think he had a great first half. Kalen Ponga skipped past him for that try. I think it was to make it, was it 12-8 at that point, I think it was?
Yeah.
Or something like that. It wasn't a great defence by him. But I think in the second half he grew into the game. I just think the changes were made. It made a much more complete team. And it was much more instinctive, I felt, especially in that second half. You had players with those natural combinations with the Penrith players. You had players just improvising and using their natural sort of chemistry that they had with other players to create. And that's what that was what happened last year in Origin, in the first two games especially. It was just complete domination from the standpoint that we had so much improv footy, and mainly because Turbo and Latrell were given free range to go wherever they wanted, and they just popped up. Teddy, Turbo, and Latrell were just popping up all over the place, and we just overran them. They had Queensland had no answer for it. So yeah, it was a much better performance. I think it was a lot less structured, and Queensland, they ran out of gas. I mean, a lot of people say the sin bin. Oh, everyone.
Kafusi's a grub. Fuck.
Yeah, he should have an automatic sin bin.
Kafusi should have at least a 10-minute. Everyone else has a head start. He sits on the bench for 10 minutes and then he can come on.
He's an absolute grub. And the media before the week sort of fueling the Liam Martin's a grub story. I mean, if you've ever seen a grub...
He's the nicest bloke I've ever seen. He wouldn't hurt a fly.
Kafusi. I mean, my God. He is...
Like, any man that shaves their head...
well, his hairline was a bit going.
But he had an afro and he had like those frizzy little things and he shaved them all off and he's a grub.
But, okay, so the term grub gets passed around a lot.
No, it doesn't.
I think guys like Jared Weir-Hargreaves and guys that
fair enough.
I think he gets called a grub, and I don't mind him being called a grub. I think that's
He is a grub.
But I think he tries to take advantage of his physicality and make that advantage for his team.
Okay, well, he's a
whilst
grub.
not caring. No, I'm just speaking about the mentality side of it. He does it for the benefit of his team, and he doesn't really care what happens to the opposition. And he doesn't intend to injure the opposition. I just think he doesn't give a damn if he does. If he accidentally does. However, Kafusi goes out of his way to knock people out in order for his team to get an advantage and to knock a key player out of the team. You look at Ryan Madison's situation. I mean, it's clear as day. It's like the only player it happens to as well. No one else manages to do it. But just Kafusi is the one guy that manages to... his elbows are... guys, sorry, I just keep on falling on my elbows. It's so hard.
Oh, shit. That was an accident.
Oh, God. Sorry, dude. Sorry, that was an accident. And he just gets away with it all the time. I mean, the Sam Walker one, clear as day. He's looking straight at him. His elbow's beginning to slip to his chest because he got the bumpers up originally. And he's about to go down and be tackled, and his elbows are slipping down to Sam Walker's chest, which you'd normally land like that on your front if you're a player, right? You usually maybe have the bumpers up like Jared does. Jared does put the bumpers up a couple of times, but he pops the bumpers up, and then he tucks the ball in to secure the ball and fall on his front and then have a quick play the ball. Kafusi's like, my elbow's slipping down here. Gotta keep it on the head. Bang. Knocks him out. The Ryan Madison one was clear as day.
Yeah, well, he got suspended for the Madison one, I think.
Yeah, but it was like 2 weeks or something. It was ridiculous. The guy's a grub. I don't even like calling him a grub because there's another level of
He's
grub.
number one New South Wales enemy. He's like Paul Gallen was back in the day.
Yeah, he's like, rightly so, when Liam Martin got criticism, rightly so, New South Wales fans sort of clapped back and said, hang on, you got a guy called Kafusi on your team. I'm sorry, Queenslanders, you have the biggest grub in the history of the NRL. And then Cameron Munster was like, oh, I don't. It's absolutely ridiculous. He's got he's a family man. I love Foose. And I'm like, what does being a family man have anything to do with the fact that you're an absolute grub? What? Okay, cool.
He's nice off the field.
He's got a wife and kids. Cool. What does that have to do with the fact that he's a grub? And he knows it as well. He absolutely. If Kaufusi was played for the Roosters and he was a New South Welshman, Munster would absolutely call him a grub. So I just think it's a bit ridiculous that Liam Martin was put up in the... And he's a bit of a...
Liam Martin is the Mungali guy for New South Wales. He's the dude that does all the hard shit.
Look, I don't mind him being called a grub because I think that's absolutely fair. But because he does do some grubby stuff sometimes. Same with Jared, same with Victor Radley, same with a lot of players in the NRL. However, if you're going to call them a grub, if you're a Queenslander or a Queensland player...
No one calls their own players grubs.
I know,
They're not going to do that.
I know, but Kaufusi, if we call those players grubs as a league or as a fans of the NRL, we need to have a new term for Kaufusi.
A super grub.
No, it's got to be bigger than that. It can't even have the word grub in it.
A mega grub.
No, it's got to be like...
A cunt?
No, let's not use that kind of language. Thank you very much. Right. What would it be? I mean, if someone elbowed somebody, he did a Kaufusi. You have to call him a Kaufusi. Like he can't even. We just got to eliminate his last name and just say, "Oh my god, he's such a Kaufusi."
We call him. I don't know. What's like a fatal disease or something?
It's a bit harsh. I wouldn't go that far.
Well, you said something worse than grub.
Yeah, but I didn't mean like calling him like AIDS or something. I wouldn't like. I don't think that's quite.
No, he's COVID.
But that's kind of confusing. If it's like, someone got COVID in the NRL, like, Sam Walker got COVID.
You got COVIDed.
You got COVIDed. Oh, is he out? How long's he out for? Oh, he's out for 8 weeks. What? COVID doesn't usually last that long. No, he just got elbowed in the face by Kaufusi.
Did COVID get suspended?
But yeah, it's I just think he's it's just despicable in my eyes. I mean, it's clearly intentional trying to knock people out.
This thing happened about a month ago.
But the fact that I'm bringing it up now is because in the media during pre-Origin, it was brought up that Liam Martin was a grub when Kaufusi is the biggest grub I've ever seen in my life. So that's all I'd like to say on it. I don't want to go after the guy too much. It's not like we haven't gone after him that much, but it's just the fact that how he intentionally tries to take people out of the game, not through like leg injuries.
He's lucky he wasn't sent off.
Giving them brain damage.
He should have been sent off for that hole.
Oh, that
sin bin is light.
That was a sin bin.
Ashley Klein knows what
he's doing.
There was
3 6 agains in a row for slow rucks, and then he literally, with his knees, like he's got his head.
Yeah, it's a professional foul, but the ref didn't warn him, and I probably would be pissed if.
He didn't warn him, but the problem was it was so obvious that he was slowing it down. He had no other choice. He had, I can't remember whose legs it was a New South Welshman's head in between his knees, and he was kneeling on him for like 5 seconds, and then he did one better and just lay on him when nobody was there. And he was like, "Oh my!" Daly Cherry was like, "You didn't give me any warning." He's like, "Mate, he was lying on him for 10 seconds to slow the ball down."
Well, I will say this. Ashley Klein, notorious for being a shit ref, in my opinion. Every time I sit down on a Thursday afternoon, Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday, whatever night it is, that the Panthers are playing, and I see that shiny head as the referee, I think, oh fuck, God, we are in for something.
Well, you're either getting the best luck in the world or the worst luck in the world.
Well, I've watched enough Ashley Klein Penrith refereed games, and I think he has something against Penrith. But the man cannot referee, in my opinion. But somehow he gets Origin gigs and grand final gigs and all this shit.
Doesn't he have like a dad that's like? Isn't that something that a dad that's like the head of like a major part in the NRL or something, and he gets?
I don't know.
I don't know exactly.
He's, in my opinion, not a good ref. But
yeah,
fuck it. He's sin been a Queenslander, so I'm with it.
Can you just reaffirm that you said fuck it there?
Yeah.
Okay, it sounded like something else there that I would not want to say.
Like what?
It was a slur against gay people.
Oh, right. No, that's definitely a U, not an A.
Okay,
you could hear that.
Yeah,
vowel.
Please, can you reaffirm that? Because
it's like faggot.
Just don't say it again.
It's
how
like
about that?
F-U-G-G-I-T.
Yeah, how about you just say F-U-C-K-I-T? How about that?
I don't know.
Because we don't want to confuse the two because we're not homophobic on this podcast.
Even still, that's just an insulting word. We don't need to bring...
okay, we're moving on. Anyway, moving on.
Yes, moving on to this weekend. Big fight card.
Is it a big fight card?
It is.
Are you sure about that?
UFC 276. International Fight Week.
Would you say big fight card
maybe
every
the
week?
biggest card of the week. No, but this...
biggest card of the week.
Of the year.
What an achievement that is.
A monster card. Stacked bottom to top to bottom.
Are you a bottom or a top?
Stacked with a capital S. What?
Are you a bottom or a top?
Top. I'm a main event, baby.
You don't know what I mean.
I do know what you mean, but I'm just bringing it back to UFC.
Okay. So who's the main eventers of this card?
Main event: Israel Adesanya versus Jared Cannonier. Do you know who that is? You do?
Yeah.
Oh Lord.
Well, I do. I know who Israel Adesanya is.
Okay. Well, yeah, he's one of the biggest stars in the UFC. Taking on Jared Cannonier, the killer gorilla. I'd honestly expect Izzy to win this fight quite easily because Cannonier has lost to Whittaker, but he's coming off a win against Brunson, and Izzy's already beat everyone, so he gets a title shot. I would expect Izzy to win quite easily, to be honest, but the real main event of this card is the co-main, Alex Volkonovsky versus Max Holloway 3, the trilogy fight. Now, that's one of the best fights the UFC can possibly make at this time in terms of skill for skill. Max is still 6th pound for pound and Volk's 3. So 2 of the top 6 pound for pound in the same division fighting each other. It's going to be lit. Hopefully, this is such a 50-50 fight for me because Max Holloway is the reason I got into UFC, but Volkanovski is Aussie and he's one of my favorite fighters. So...
Well, Volkanovski won controversially in the second fight, right?
Yeah, a lot of people thought Max won the second fight.
So it'll be a good fight, I think. Obviously, the Volk... I mean, who do you think the UFC wants to win? They probably want Max to win, don't they?
Yes and no. Because if Max wins, they probably have to do this fight again for the fourth time.
Fight.
So I don't know if they want to do that, but Max probably is a bigger star. So money... Yes, but then if Volk wins, Dana said he can go fight for the lightweight belt, so that would be a big fight. They might want to do that. So I don't think the UFC really cares.
Fair. So Volk. Obviously, we're praying for Volk. We want him to win as a fellow Australian, even though I'm English, fellow Australian. Any other sort of Sean O'Malley in this card?
Big card. So Sean O'Malley versus Pedro Munoz. You know who that is?
Yeah.
Pedro Munoz, he's a good fighter.
Yeah, I know him.
You do know?
Pedro, yeah.
Who's he fought?
Petty Pro. That's what I call him, Petty Pro.
Who's he fought?
UFC fighters.
Right. Well, he's knocked out Cody Garbrandt.
I was going to say that, bro. You didn't let me finish.
He's fought a lot of guys, lost to most of them. He's lost 4 of his last 5, but they're all entertaining close fights and all against former champs. So, and he's ranked 10, so this is a little step up for Sean. A good introduction to the top 10. Hopefully, he can knock him out because the thing with Pedro is he's got like an iron chin. He's never been finished. So if Sean can knock him out, that's like a massive statement, gets him into the top 10, and then he's looking for a top 5 fight and then a title shot. So hopefully the Sugar Show can get it done for the value of my cards and for the future of the UFC. Also in this card, another title eliminator, Michelle Pereira. Do you know who that is?
Yeah.
Alex Pereira, sorry.
Do you know who it is?
Yeah, versus Sean Strickland. Now, backstory.
I know who Sean Strickland is.
Really?
Yeah.
How?
That nut job.
Yes, he is a nut job. If you don't know who Sean Strickland is, look him up on YouTube. The guy is a psycho. Literally talks about murdering people on the daily. And he's fighting Alex Pereira, this is his 3rd fight in the UFC. And the backstory behind this guy is that he's beat Adesanya in kickboxing. So the UFC is like pushing him. This is his 3rd fight in the UFC. He's not ranked, and they're just saying if you win this fight, you get a title shot. So they want that narrative that Izzy's fighting a guy who's beat him before, just to make it interesting, basically. But it is a tough fight for him because he's very new to MMA. So if Strickland is smart, which he clearly isn't, but if he can use his brain, he should be able to take him down. But
he's a bit of a nutter.
He likes to stand there and just get hit in the face.
Yeah, I did see. So yeah, interesting card. I think
there's way more fights.
Well, we don't really care about them, but is there any big names in the rest of the?
Robbie Lawler's fighting.
Still,
yeah. Brad Riddell, a teammate of Izzy and Volks, he's fighting. You got here. I'll get up the card.
Well, I'm hoping that Sugar Sean wins. You just want characters to win in the UFC.
You got Cowboy fighting.
Gosh, just retire already, dude. I know you love fighting, but if you get knocked out by Conor McGregor, it's a bit embarrassing at this point.
Yeah. You got Ian Gary, you know who he is? He's the new
Irish, I saw that.
Irish guy.
He did the "we're not here to take part, we're here to take over" thing.
So he's the new.
But I don't know why he acts like Conor. He doesn't
because he's Irish. You have to.
I know, Irish. But he looks like a choir boy. He's like, he didn't he knock out his first opponent, or he finished him definitely.
Yeah, he knocked him out. So yeah, he's got hype. He's a good guy. Uriah Hall is on the card. Macy Barber. So it's fucking.
I do know who Uriah Hall is.
You do?
Yeah, the greatest knockout in mixed martial arts history.
Yeah, and he's a massive bust, but still.
But he had a sick knockout on the Ultimate Fighter.
Yeah. So listen, Yeah, he's a bust. So.
Yeah, but Willie had a sick knockout.
Look,
so
this is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna give you my multi of every single fighter on the card.
Okay, pre-warning.
This is how to be a millionaire.
Take any betting advice from this idiot over here. He has no idea what he's doing.
Ready? Listen
and he has never made a successful bet in his life.
This is how to be a millionaire, everybody. First fight of the night, you're going to bet Jessica Rose Clark. Second fight of the night, you're going to bet Macy Barber. Third fight of the night, you're going to get Andre Muniz. Moving into the preliminary card now, this is where it gets tough here, but boys, stick with me and we're going to have some wins. Dricus du Plessis, he's going to beat Brad Tavares. Ian Gary, he's going to beat Gabe Green. Cowboy is going to beat Jim Miller, barely. Cowboy gets a win and he will hopefully retire. Brad Riddell is going to beat Jalen Turner. That's kind of an upset. The Autobots have now rolled out and we're into the main card, everybody. Yeah. Sean O'Malley to beat Pedro Munoz. Robbie Lawler to beat Barberina. Pereira to beat Strickland. Holloway to beat Volk. And Izzy to beat Cannonier. That is how you become a millionaire. I have about 10% confidence that multi will come off, but How to Be a Millionaire 101, and you can be a part of the Autobots too if you're a millionaire. So
no, I've got some betting advice. Okay. If you do everything the opposite of what he just said, you'll become a millionaire. You'll win every single leg of that multi. So I'm predicting, I don't even know what he said. I was just focusing on the music, really. It was pretty inspirational. I'm going to put a multi on everything he doesn't pick because that way I win. Because
I guarantee you at least one of those will be correct.
Okay, then I'll pick one at random that the same as you, and I'll win then.
Okay,
because that's what you're doing. You're just like, oh God, this is according to my calculations.
It is my calculations. My calculations are always right.
Did you pick Cowboy to win?
Yeah.
See, this is why you're just an idiot.
Well, he's versus Jim Miller.
I would pick
40.
I would pick my nan over Cowboy Cerrone at this point. The guy, I love the guy. He's a staple of the UFC. Cannot win a fight. He's way too old.
Yeah, but
did you pick Robbie Lawler to win?
Yes.
Again, way too old. Just retire.
Yeah, but they're fighting not good guys.
I don't care if they're the worst fighters.
Robbie Lawler's
in the UFC
coming off a win.
Okay, he probably fought some guy on the street. He
fought Nick Diaz.
Well, Nick, exactly, a guy on the street. He hadn't fought in 10 years. So yeah, good on Robbie Lawler and Cowboy, but they ain't winning. So
no,
bias again.
They are winning.
He's just so biased to his own.
They're winning because I'm telling them to win, so I can be a millionaire.
No, just bet the opposite of what he said.
So yeah, if you put like $100, maybe $1,000 on that, you should be a millionaire.
Don't do that. I gamble responsibly.
Gamble responsibly, but make sure you spend most of your money on it.
Yeah. Okay. So, do you want to move into our final segment?
We have another segment?
puta madre of the week.
Oh, okay.
Do you have a...
We didn't brainstorm this.
Well, look, I'll go first. It's going to be a bit of...
My puta madre is John Wall.
No, okay. You can do it when it's your turn, isn't that
Well,
right?
I'm doing my turn now. It's
Okay.
John Wall.
You want to do your turn? Well, you got to explain it a bit more.
Well, we talked about it before. It's because he went to the Clippers.
Oh, so you're puta madre. So if Carmelo goes to the Clippers, you're just out on life.
No, I love... Yeah, well, yes, that would be very devastating.
Well, look, my puta madre, it should be a certain someone that we mentioned last week, but it won't be. We got a bit of flack from the boys. It's just from a boy in the boys. So we don't want to go too far down that rabbit hole again. He may have repeated his actions from weeks prior, but we won't go into that. We won't go into that. It's all good in the hood. So my puta madre is myself, actually.
Yourself.
Yeah, so I have roasted this kid over here for being blind for about... How long have I known you?
I don't know.
Probably not since I've known you. Probably the last 5-6 years I've gone in on how...
I haven't noticed.
Well, it's because I say a lot of things about him, but he is blind as a bat. I make fun of him that he wears contacts. Turns out I went to the optometrist yesterday because my eyes were feeling a bit fuzzy watching the TV. Turns out I've got a major eye problem. I'm going to have to wear glasses. And I'm going to look like an absolute retard and just be four eyes. Now, it's not as bad as him because he just has to wear them all the time. Mine's just for like long distance when I'm driving at night and TV and stuff. But it's a bit embarrassing because I've kind of made fun of the fact that he wears glasses and I'm going to have to wear glasses now.
Everyone becomes part of the Four Eyes clan at some point in their life.
Yeah, but it's like when you're 80. I feel like I'm getting old. I'm 20. I'm 18 years old. It's just not. It's just not there.
You're 18? I'm only 15.
What? You're 15?
That was a shit joke.
Banter.
Nice.
Nice. Cock. What?
What?
The point is, I've made fun of the fact that he's got spectacles for way too long. I could have gone for like, in the gangster, sort of like the rappers and the gangsters have like those just glasses and they got like the gold sort of bridge in the middle and
I don't really.
And it's slick. It's kind of like a wide, slick sort of glasses look. I was going to go for that. But then again, if I'd have to wear them in public, people would be like, what are you doing?
What did you go
idiot?
for?
I went for like similar ones to that, but they don't look as stupid as that.
Right.
Well, because...
These are good looking glasses though. You struggle to find some better.
Well, I'm on a family plan for private insurance. So I actually got a good deal on some really good Tom Fords. Now, they were expensive because it's Tom Ford, but I was picky. What are those long distance?
Oh, gee. These are Tommy Hilfiger.
Tommy Hilfiger. Yeah. I thought they made clothes.
I thought Tom Ford made clothes.
That's a fair point. Hang on, are those short distance? Are you short-sighted or long-sighted?
I don't know.
You're an idiot. Let me just try
I've
them
been wearing
on.
glasses
I'll try
my
them
whole
on.
life and I still don't know.
So you hold the conversation while I try these on, see how it looks.
It'll be blurry for you, I know that. This is some great enthralling glasses chat.
Oh my god. Oh my god, Jesus Christ. How do you see in this?
Well, because it's meant for my eyes.
How blind are you, you dumbass?
Pretty blind.
I feel like I'm drunk. This is how I look. This is the exact vision I have when I'm drunk. The exact vision. You know when we did the pub crawl the other day and the other week and I couldn't see my burrito when I was eating? This is how I felt. Like I was just, oh my god, that is horrendous. Jesus Christ.
It's nice and crispy for me.
How does that even... You are so blind. That is embarrassing.
I'm like a 3 point.
Yeah, I'm not that bad.
7.5.
I'm pretty bad, but I'm not that bad. So yeah, I'll be wearing glasses. I don't think I'll wear them that often though.
It might be a fashion statement.
But it's not though, is it? Unless you wear the ones that I was considering wearing, which is a bit of
girls
a
like glasses, man.
No, they don't.
Yeah, they do.
How many girls have you had again?
Huh?
How many girls have you gone with again?
A bunch of girls have told me like where'd the glasses go?
How many girls have you talked to again?
Like 4?
You talked to 4 girls?
Maybe 2? Maybe 1?
Maybe none.
Maybe,
How about
maybe
that?
40?
40.
Maybe 50.
I don't think you've talked to a female in a romantic setting in your entire life. I don't think
I talk to my mother every night, all right?
In a romantic setting. Oh my God, you just dug yourself a hole there.
The only person I talk to in a romantic setting is the photo of Margot Robbie I have on the wall.
That you're a bit obsessed with her. It's a bit creepy at this point.
It's not creepy.
I mean, I get it. She's an attractive Australian, but she's not that. I mean, she's attractive, but I don't know why you're obsessing about her so much. I mean, it's a bit weird at this point.
It's not weird.
Well, yeah. Well, as I was going to say, the push of the week that we were going to do, we were hoping was it to do with the club experience, and the last week it was as well. And Oscar nearly. You were talking to a girl in the club, so that was progress.
You were talking to a girl.
Things happen. But you were but. You're in search of love.
Fuck all.
Yeah, I know, but you're in search of love. You had, I saw you have like a brief
I'm
chat.
not in search of love.
Are you not in search of love?
No.
Why not? You should delve deep into this.
I don't need it.
Yeah, I think everyone needs love.
I'm fine.
You're fine. Well, I had a bit of fun with you once our friend left. We had a bit of fun on the nightclub. It was a good time. I liked the music.
Henry IV had a panic attack.
Reese 4, you idiot. You just gave away his name, you dope.
You just told them I gave away his name. They would have known. Reese 4 had a panic attack.
But yeah.
Reese 4 had a panic attack.
Oh, no.
Reese 2 escorted him home.
Well, God, we shouldn't get into this. He's going to get pissed off.
That's the end of it.
But yeah, Reese 4, I don't want to get into it. Reese 4 wasn't on the previous Pusher of the Week, was he?
No.
So yeah, Reese 4, yeah, we won't get into that.
A near fatal panic attack. Lucky to make it out alive, but
Reese 4 has pulled this move before, and it's been a bit of boy who cried wolf situation in that department. But we won't go into that. Anyway, it's a good podcast, and hopefully some more exciting news with Manchester. Just to cap off real quick, Manchester United looking like they're getting Malacia from PSV Eindhoven, I think. They usurped Leon in the last second. You're French.
They usurped Leon. That is incredible. Yeah, I know.
Well, you're French, so you obviously have connections to Leon.
Yeah, I've been there.
You've been to Leon?
Yeah.
Is it a nice place?
I guess.
Is it better than Manchester? I don't think so. So, I think decent signing. Even though we've got quite a lot of depth, it's like the one position we have good depth. We got Brandon Williams coming back. We got Tellez and Shaw. It's kind of the one position we don't really need on paper, but Tellez was poor last season. Shaw's injured, and when he's not injured, he's eating hot dogs. So it was a decent signing, and Brandon Williams.
It's just shit. It's like, how are you? It's just shit.
I don't think it's shit. It's a good signing. I like
it. To the left back. How's he going to help you win the league?
So don't sign left backs or right backs. Is that your
focus on players that are actually going to help?
Well, you've got to sign multiple positions, buddy. You don't sign one player in off season. Frankie de Jong is making headway, so he's probably going to be a Manchester United player. I've reported the guaranteed fee is going to be around 65 million euros, which is decent for Frankie de Jong. But yeah, there's a lot of Premier League transfer news that we could probably.
He's just going to come and be shit anyway.
Probably
like every other big player they sign.
Well, we got Ten Hag, 1 Hag, 2 Hag.
What about the other
6 Hag, 7 Hag, 8 Hag, 9 Hag, take Hag, 10 Hag,
okay,
10 Hag. Okay. You didn't like that.
What about the other 8 managers before him?
It wasn't 8 though. It was like 4. Well, I could go through it. I mean, David Moyes. I mean, come on.
Van Gaal had promise.
Well, David Moyes was hired because Sir Alex Ferguson said he should be hired, and plainly because he was Scottish. I mean, that was just Scottish bias at that point. Van Gaal, look, he had very good reputation.
They were singing his name.
He took Netherlands to a World Cup final. He signed some great players. I mean, he signed Falcao, Di Maria, Schneiderlin, Daley Blind, Schweinsteiger, all in the same transfer window, which was pretty remarkable. But the problem was his football was the most boring thing I've ever seen in my entire life. That was kind of the problem with Van Gaal. Mourinho was good, and looking back, he's probably called out a lot of the problems that Manchester United have in terms of player power.
Mourinho must have managed 80% of clubs in Europe at this point.
No.
He's been around the block.
Well, no, he's been around the block with the biggest clubs in Europe.
Yeah.
You could maybe say 80% of the big clubs across Europe. But yeah, Mourinho, football got so dire, and Lukaku up front, it was just, oh my God, the combination, it was just dreadful. And then Ollie came in, brought a bit of energy, brought a bit of happiness, a bit of bounce to the team.
But not much knowledge.
Yeah. Turns out once he got the long term, that's a weird thing. We were playing great football, exciting football when he was the interim. And as soon as we signed him on a long-term deal, it was park the bus football again. And they're like, oh my God, what's going on? Turns out he had probably the worst transfer window in Manchester United history when he signed Harry Maguire, Dan James, and Aaron Wan-Bissaka for £130 million. Not great in terms of... So actually, no, it's $150 million if you look at it. So, yeah, that wasn't a great window. So, kind of his signings didn't turn out to be great, and his coaching wasn't great either. Yeah.
I mean, Harry Maguire's the captain of the club. That's
even though he had
great signing,
somewhat success, he finished second in the league. He finished Champions League twice, and he got to a Europa League final. He wasn't terrible as a manager overall, but he had some major falls and big moments. And then Ten Hag, and then Ralph was obviously... The problem with Ralph was he didn't have any power, so the players were like... Ralph came in and was like, yeah, I play this high-pressing, high-energy work rate football, and the players were like, yeah, no, we don't do that around here. You're gone in 6 months, so how about no?
But he's still at the club.
No, he's not.
Oh,
He left.
He
was like...
he was meant to be like a long-term advisor, wasn't he?
He was, but the problem was Man United didn't want him anymore because he was like, this side's... Because he was telling the truth. He was like, well, this side needs 10 signings. This side needs complete overhaul. There is major problems with player power.
To everyone except Ronaldo.
Well, no, he didn't call out specific players, but he said this team needed major overhaul. He called out how the club was run, that it needs improvement. And Man United were like, yeah, how about you accept that Austria job and not come back here? How about that?
We don't want that criticism around here.
We know that we're screwed up, but we don't need our own people telling us that we're bad, okay? And then Erik Ten Hag, hopefully he can build a culture here and sign his own players. Look, Malacia was a guy that he wanted, so let him sign whatever he wants. He needs the power and control and the ability to sign the players he wants. Now, the problem is that I have with him is going a bit too Dutch, in my opinion. We're linked with like we're linked with Timber. He wanted Timber, Anthony, and Malacia all play in the Dutch league. Problem is, the Dutch league ain't that good. So
yeah, but they should be.
If we just sign an entire Dutch league team, it's not going to be that great, is it? It's not going to really transfer. Now, I like Timber and Anthony as targets, but I would prefer if we just maybe went a bit more. We were a bit more diversified. We didn't just go straight to Netherlands.
Yeah, like we should get like Mbappe and Neymar.
Yeah, they're definitely. Well, Neymar is available, funny enough, but nobody wants to pay his wages.
Mate, we should pay him.
I don't think we should.
Neymar, Ronaldo?
That's like the Glazers spokesman at that point. He's like, let's sign all these big name players that are old and injury prone and would sell a lot of shirts.
The jersey sales would be
out of this world. Yeah, if we sign.
That front three with Sancho.
Ooh. Rashford, he's good.
Rashford's not in the team. Come on.
Oh, he's not big enough a name, is he? He's not on that level.
No.
You got to. Who else do you want to sign as a big name? Get Buffon back in. Buffon.
Yeah, Petr Cech.
He retired like 6 years ago, but yep.
Chesney.
What a big name Chesney is. It's like Neymar, Ronaldo, Buffon, Chesney. Big name he is.
Chiellini.
He just went to LAFC.
Where did Bale go to go?
LAFC.
That's the only place to go, LA.
Yeah, if you want big names, I'll go to LA. So, yeah, overall, we'll probably bring more transfer news, or I will, because he knows nothing. I'll bring more transfer news at the next podcast, because that's probably when things will be more confirmed and more, solid in terms of transfer news. It won't be just rumors. And I'll try and do a whole rundown within 15 minutes of that. Do my research, and yeah, that's going to be the main transfer show next week. So tune in. I hope you enjoyed this one. A bit of chat towards the end. that we didn't intend. So if Reese 2, if you ever see this podcast, please do not take it seriously. What are you doing?
For fuck's sake.
You got to press it harder. There you go.
Is that hard enough?
So Reese 2, I love you. Please don't listen to this podcast. We did not intend to go after you, and we didn't. I believe in my heart of hearts that I did not go after you, and it was not my intention to roast you.
Anyway, don't get so offended by shit, honestly.
No, don't. Listen to him.
Words,
I am your friend. I am your buddy. I am your man.
Who gets offended by words?
No, people get offended by words. Words are offensive.
No, they're not.
Reese 2, I love you. You are an unbelievable...
Like, comment, subscribe. Alright, that's it.